All right, let's try this again. Hey guys, good to see you again. I just wanted to go over our math concept because it's newer and I didn't want to give you the page without going through it. So we're talking about mixed numbers, and I know that you're smart enough to figure that out, but I want to go through it with you so you'll understand a little bit of what that is. What is a mixed number? Well, when we're looking at our numbers that we've learned whole numbers, we've learned fractions. We're going to put those together to make one number. We don't have two separate numbers with our mixed numbers, but I want you to understand that a mixed number is one number together. Here are some sentences that will kind of explain that. Carl ran around the track at school 2.5 times. 2.5. I'll zoom it in so you'll see it in a little bit. But 2.5 is written 2, big 2, and then 1/2 is written over to the side. Then Steve ate 1.25 apples. So again, I'll zoom it in just a second so you can see a big 1 and 1/4, 1/4. The last sentence, Aunt Julie is coming to visit in 3.5 weeks. And we would write it big 3, small 1 with 2, 1.5, 3.5. So here it is close up so you can see it a little bit better. 2.5 here, 1.25, and 3.5. That's our mixed numbers. But how do we get mixed numbers, and how does that really make sense as we're doing that? Well, with our mixed number, as we said, we have a whole number with a fraction. And we remember that when we have a whole number, the fraction is part of a whole, but sometimes we have the whole. And when we have the whole, such as the 2.5, it's 1 whole, 2 whole, plus that half. So 1, 2.5. Okay, so that's what we're showing when we have 2 wholes. And if we had these in halves, if you had the little line in the middle, you could remember those are just 2 parts of a whole, or even if it was 4 pieces in a whole, those would equal 2.5. Okay, there would be 2 pieces altogether, 2 pieces altogether, or 4 or 8 or whatever it is. It'd be the whole thing with a half after it. We're going to do another idea. Not with the fractions that are up here on the board. We're going to choose another one. Another fraction that we could have is, erase these, 1 1/3. So we have 1 whole, okay? And if that were cut into thirds, all 3 of those pieces, that equals the 1, if you remember that carefully. And then we have our third that we would put with it, okay? So 1 1/3, and that was just cut into thirds. So remember, that would make 1 whole, but we're just using 1 part of that whole. So we have 1 whole and then 1/3, and that's what we have in this mixed number, 1 1/3. The mixed number is going to be larger. The fraction is going to be written smaller next to it. So that's an important part as well, where when you write 1 1/3, don't write them so small. Don't write the 1 so small that it almost looks like 11/3 rather than 1 1/3, if that makes sense, if you can see that there. Okay, so write it like we have here so you can see the difference instead of writing it small like that, because that will be difficult to be able to read. And that is pretty much, because my time is up, I don't want to make it too long. Sorry, because it's zoomed in still. But that's what I want you to recognize for your mixed numbers. And hopefully that will help you to get your page started today. And let me know if you have any questions. We'll talk through it some more if we need to. All right, see you again soon.